The United Kingdom will recognise the state of Palestine in September unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza. That's the message from the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He made the announcement after an emergency cabinet meeting in Downing Street.
I've always said that we will recognise a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the state of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza.
For more on this, let's speak to Milena Veselinovic in London. So, Milena, Keir Starmer is saying the UK will recognise the Palestinian state, but it does come with a qualification.
Well, he says that he will do that only if Israel does not fulfill a number of conditions that he has laid out, chiefly to alleviate the suffering of the people in Gaza with tactical actions and tangible results. But there's also a number of other things that in the statement the UK Prime Minister says he wants to see Israel do, such as commit to a ceasefire, also make it clear that there will be no annexation in the occupied West Bank, and also for Israel to commit to a long-term peace process that delivers a two-state solution. And Keir Starmer said that he will make an assessment as to how much progress has been made on these issues ahead of the UN General Assembly in September, and then make a decision on whether he will recognise Palestine as a state or not. Now, he also addressed the reason why he was making this statement now. He said that the issue of recognising Palestinian statehood, he said, wanted to be a factor when it comes to changing the conditions in Gaza on the ground. You can read from that he's trying to apply pressure on Israel to allow more aid trucks in. He also said that he feels like a two-state solution now is further away than it ever has been. So he says he's trying to change that. But make no mistake, he's been under a lot of pressure domestically here from the public as well as from his own members of parliament to make some move on this issue. People have been moved by those images of starving and emaciated children coming out of Gaza in the last few days.
Melania, I can hear the drums of protest at the far end of Downing Street there as you speak. Will this be enough to appease those angry with the government who are furious about the lack of action in Gaza?
Well, the protest at the gates of Downing Street has been going on for hours now. There was one on Friday as well, and I think it will all depend on whether there is actually tangible change, whether there is more aid flowing into Gaza, whether there is a substantive change in the circumstances for ordinary Palestinians. And this is perhaps not what the people protesting outside the gates of Downing Street want. They want a firm commitment that the UK is going to recognise Palestine as a state. That's not what Keir Starmer is promising at all. It's not like when the French President Emmanuel Macron said he will do that, he will recognise the Palestinian state in September. This is a way of pressure that the UK government is hoping to apply on the Israeli government to try to improve the conditions on the ground in Gaza. And whether it is enough or not, it will only depend on whether life for Palestinians in Gaza does improve or not.
OK, Milena, thanks for that. Milena Veselinovic speaking from Downing Street. We're going to cross now to the United Nations in New York. The British Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, is addressing the delegates there. Let's have a listen into what he's got to say.
The Israeli government acts to end the appalling situation in Gaza, ends its military campaign, and commits to a long, sustainable peace based on a two-state solution. Our demands on Hamas also remain absolute and unwavering. Before the UN General Assembly gathers, we will take stock of how far the parties have come in meeting these steps. No one side will have a veto on recognition through their actions or inactions. But recognition by itself will not change the situation on the ground. That is why we are taking immediate steps as well, like airdropping humanitarian supplies along with our partners in Jordan, getting injured children into British hospitals, and pressing for the resumption of the United Nations humanitarian assistance. We also believe that a lasting ceasefire requires urgent progress on governance and security in Gaza. We are therefore working with allies on a plan for long-term political negotiations and a two-state solution. Chair, there is no better vision for the future of the region than two states. Israelis living within secure borders, recognized and at peace with their neighbors, free from the threat of terrorism, and Palestinians living in their own state in dignity and security, free of occupation. The decades-long conflict between Israelis and Palestinians cannot be managed or contained. It must now be resolved. Britain is ready to play its full and historic part. Thank you very much.
That's the Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, David Lammy, addressing the United Nations gathering to talk about a two-state solution in Palestine. The UK Foreign Secretary is saying that the UK intends to recognise the state of Palestine when the UN General Assembly gathers in September. He said that Britain has a historic responsibility, burden of responsibility, he said, to support the two-state solution. This follows, of course, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer just moments ago saying that the UK will recognise the state of Palestine in September before the UN General Assembly, but it came with this addendum, this qualification, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza. All right, we'll have more on this as time goes on.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.